The sun rose early, casting soft golden hues across the small suburban town where Ethan lived. From the outside, Ethan's life seemed perfect. He had a stable job, a nice car, and a cozy apartment. But deep down, he felt a sense of unease, an empty hollowness that gnawed at him day by day. He wasn't sure how it had happened, but life felt stuck, like a broken record repeating the same tracks over and over. Ethan's mornings were all the same. Waking up tired despite having a full night's sleep, grabbing a quick cup of coffee, and then dragging himself to work. In his mind, he had always believed that success was just around the corner. All he needed was the next promotion, the next pay raise, or maybe a better apartment. But no matter what he achieved, that gnawing emptiness stayed with him. One Thursday morning, while sipping on his usual coffee, Ethan received an unexpected text from an old college friend, David. The message was brief, but to the point. Fix your life in one day. Call me when you are ready. Ethan almost laughed at the absurdity of it. Fix your life in a day. Impossible. But something about the message struck a chord. Maybe it was the frustration he felt, or maybe it was just curiosity, but he found himself dialing David's number. Ethan, I knew you would call, David answered with a laugh. They hadn't spoken in years, but it didn't feel awkward. David had always been a good friend, someone who lived life differently. He was the kind of person who didn't chase promotions or fancy titles. Yet somehow, he always seemed content, like he had figured out the secret to happiness. Fix my life in a day? Come on. That's impossible, Ethan said, not hiding his skepticism. David chuckled. Not impossible. Difficult, yes. But if you're really serious about it, one day is all you need to change your trajectory. Ethan listened, intrigued. David explained that it wasn't about making massive changes overnight, but rather about resetting the mind, heart, and spirit in a single day. He called it the one-day life reset, a method he had used himself when he felt lost years ago. What do I have to do? Ethan asked, still unsure, but willing to give it a shot. He knew deep down that he couldn't continue living this way, with the constant dissatisfaction and feeling of stagnation. David's voice became more serious. All right, you need to follow a simple plan. It will push you and challenge you, but I promise if you commit to it, you'll wake up tomorrow feeling like a different person. The plan was structured into 4 parts: mind, body, relationships, and purpose. Each segment would take up a portion of the day and require complete dedication. Ethan was intrigued but also doubtful. Could change really come that quickly? At 8 a.m., reset the mind. David's first instruction was to clear his mind, and the first task was to disconnect from all distractions. No phone, no emails, no social media for the day, David said firmly. Just you and your thoughts. Ethan found a quiet corner in his apartment, sat down with nothing but a journal, and began to reflect. David had told him to write down everything that was bothering him: fears, frustrations, regrets. It was overwhelming at first. Ethan hadn't realized how much weight he had been carrying. His pages filled up quickly with all the thoughts he'd been suppressing. As the morning went on, he felt lighter. David had emphasized that confronting these thoughts was the first step toward breaking free from them. After finishing his journal, Ethan sat in silence for a while. Without any phone buzzing, emails to check, or distractions, the quietness around him was initially jarring but gradually became comforting. His mind felt clearer, as if the fog of confusion had lifted. At 12 p.m., resetting the body. It was time for part 2 at noon, taking care of the body. David instructed him to go for a long walk, with no destination in mind, just a walk. Ethan hadn't realized how tense his body was, coiled up from stress and anxiety. As he walked through his neighborhood, he noticed things he had never paid attention to before. The vibrant flowers blooming in someone's garden, the laughter of children playing, the soft rustle of leaves in the breeze. David had told him that movement was a way of reconnecting with life. It wasn't about an intense workout, but simply letting the body move, freeing it from the stagnation of sitting at a desk all day. By the time he returned home, Ethan felt more alive, more in tune with his surroundings. After his walk, Ethan prepared a simple, healthy meal. David had insisted that nourishment was key to mental clarity. No fast food, no caffeine, just real, wholesome food that would fuel his body. As he ate, he felt grateful, a rare feeling for him these days. At 2 p.m., resetting relationships. Next came what David described as the hardest part of the day, addressing relationships. Think about the people in your life, David had said, who uplifts you and who drains you. It's time to have an honest conversation with yourself. Ethan took out his phone, not to scroll, but to reflect on the people he had been surrounding himself with. There were friends who constantly complained, colleagues who gossiped, and even a toxic relationship that he had held onto for far too long. David had instructed him to send messages of gratitude to the people who had been positive influences in his life, and to gently distance himself from those who hadn't. He sent a message to his mom, who had always been his biggest supporter, but whom he had neglected in recent years. He called his best friend, someone he hadn't spoken to in months, to simply ask how they were doing. By the end of it, Ethan realized how much he had taken his relationships for granted. It wasn't just about distancing himself from negativity, but also about nurturing the relationships that mattered. At 4 p.m., reset purpose. The final part of the day was about purpose. David explained that without a sense of direction, life would always feel aimless, no matter how much success one achieved. He instructed Ethan to spend time thinking about what truly made him happy, not what society told him to pursue. Ethan realized that he had been chasing promotions, money, and status because he thought that's what success looked like. But deep down, his passion had always been photography. He had neglected it for years, deeming it impractical. But as he reflected, he understood that passion was key to feeling alive. David had told him that resetting purpose wasn't about making drastic life changes immediately, but about acknowledging what truly matters and making space for it in life. That evening, Ethan picked up his old camera, the one gathering dust in his closet, and spent an hour capturing the sunset. It was the first time in years he felt genuinely happy. The next day, Ethan woke up the next morning with a different mindset. His life wasn't fixed in the traditional sense. He didn't magically solve all his problems. But something inside him had shifted. His mind was clearer, his body felt lighter, and his purpose, though still uncertain, was beginning to take shape. David had been right. In just one day, Ethan had laid the groundwork for real change. It wasn't about quick fixes or instant success, but about taking that first step toward reclaiming his life. As he opened his journal to start a new day, he knew that he had the power to change his trajectory, one step at a time. Subscribe for more videos. Thank you.